Okay, well, welcome everyone. This is, I know we've done a couple webinars recently, but this is the first one of the add-on modules. We've been doing the dashboard series, which is those are a lot more hands-on, where we're building something with the tools that are provided through HandsOn Connect or LlamaSite, especially using the CMS or Salesforce. So today we're going to be doing add-on modules, and I'm going to be leading this. My name is Alfredo, and we're going to cover two modules, basically two modules today. And just to let you know that we probably have about 15 modules, so we will be talking, and I will ask everyone to put themselves on mute if possible. I think, Jenny, you can help out with that too. Okay, so we're going to cover two modules, SkillsConnect and a shopping cart. And one of the characteristics of our modules, and this is also true of our products, is that they're highly customizable. So the versions I'll be talking about today are our most basic versions, that are the starter versions, and then we tend to customize these as we, implement them on your instance. So let's get started. So what's in an add-on module? So it's basically a component that expands your capability and also tailors it to what you're trying to solve. So just look at it, you might need additional capacity, you might need a different integration, you might need different functionality, either because you've grown into it or you're expanding in some way. So you might have started using our tools for donor management or for volunteer management, and now you want to create groups within them. And those groups could be ad hoc groups, they could be fundraising groups, they could be board groups and things like that. So now you have another option that you want to add to your existing LlamaSite or HandsOn Connect. Excuse me. And one of the great things is that because you're in Salesforce and LlamaSite or HandsOn Connect, is that you can build on top of it or expand using modules without having to go to a different technology. So if you want to add outward funds or some grant management or along those lines, you can build it in Salesforce and you don't have to be running multiple systems. And that's really done through modules. And that's true for both our products and Salesforce. And Salesforce has their own add-ons for several different things, as we do. So some examples of add-ons, they cover a whole range of things. One is SSO. If you're doing integration with a corporate partner, or they might request SSO, or you might want to add SSO to your own organization so that when your volunteers or your staff logs into HandsOn Connect and LlamaSite, they're coming in through SSO. And SSO stands for single sign-on, and it's a way of securely logging in to a system using another system. Most of you have probably used it when you log into somewhere using your Facebook login or your Twitter or your LinkedIn login. We also have shopping, and shopping is probably one of our most flexible modules because it's used for different things. It's used not only for the traditional shopping where folks can buy things there, but it can also be used to manage for example, supplies for your volunteer opportunities where you're giving out masks, gloves, shovels, and so on, and you want to and this is the way that volunteer leaders or coordinators request them for those projects. It's also used for rewards. So think about it. You can accumulate rewards, and this is a little bit of gamification where you tell your volunteers if you serve X amount of hours per month or per week, you'll give them reward points, and they can use the reward points to basically purchase swag or something that you want to give out. Another type of module has to do with groups. And
hear anything.
This is another very flexible module where you can, and this covers everything from ad hoc groups to fundraising groups to board management, and this could include chats, resource sharing, all types of things that you can build to create more of that community and groups into your systems. Then we have a series of modules around knowledge, and this has to do more with organizing information, be it things that you want to publish, blogs, help documentation and things like that, that really helps you index that type of information. We also have a series of modules around recommendations that has to do a lot with matching, finding the best match based on certain criteria between two things, usually an individual and an organization, or individual and a project. I mentioned board management. We have this is one of our probably more popular modules. Is basically a version of groups that's really tailored to board management. And fundraising can be anything from straight fundraising to donor management to grants and to peer-to-peer fundraising, which is also a version of groups. And just as an idea of what modules are more than anything, of the ones I mentioned, like I said, we're only going to cover 2 of them today. So some basic assumptions here. One is that you're familiar with HandsOn Connect or LlamaSite. You don't have to be an expert. If you're a HandsOn Connect user or a LlamaSite user, you're in the right place. And for these type of modules, they're very similar. Basic understanding of Salesforce, since a lot of these modules are interacting with Salesforce. And then some basic understanding of the CMS. This is not as critical as it was in the dashboard series, but we are going to do a quick build out on the CMS towards the end. So because in previous webinars, especially the dashboard series, what we've done is build something from scratch. In this case, a module gets installed on your instance. And so some modules are already in your instance and we just have to activate them. Some actually have an installation process that we do. And so once we install it, a large percentage of what you need will be there already. And whatever else we have to do we'll probably do through configuration, or you will do through configuration, or we will maybe do some customizations for you, but you're really not building anything. So really what you really want to think about is how can you give your users more value, more interactions, or through your portal by leveraging these add-on modules. So let's start with SkillsConnect. SkillsConnect is really designed for matching volunteers with organization or organization project, most likely organizations tending to be nonprofits. And so, and it's really looking to match them on their professional skills. So it's really looking to engage volunteers with professional skills and expertise in a way that they can help strengthen the capacity of nonprofits. So you might have nonprofits that are in your system that are looking for some capacity building, some very specific skills to do that. And you have a pool of volunteers, but you need to gather additional information on those volunteers of what their skills are and maybe the level of, are they experts? Are they, at what level are they in those skills? And the idea is really matching these volunteers with the organization needs, and mainly on skills, but also location, schedule, and other requirements that you might have. And these projects that tend to require very specific skill to complete. So we're really not looking for broad skills. We're looking for very specific skills. And there's also specific time commitment. A lot of times these projects can take quite a while. It really depends how you structure these projects in your organization. But it can take anything from a couple of hours, but it could also take several months. And the idea is that the same volunteer will commit over that, and it's more of a relationship between the volunteer and that organization, and that reports back to you in terms of impact and hours and all that. So the most basic workflow for SkillsConnect is probably the one that I have here. And you can do this in different ways, but basically step one is you need tools that will allow you to recruit a pool of skilled volunteers. And then also allow your organizations to express what those set up projects that require these skills. Once you have those two pieces, then you can look at matching them. So the next step is to match these, and the matching can be done in different ways. So we've seen some customers that let the system automatically match the volunteers and then send a list of candidates to the nonprofit where the nonprofit selects them, and if one is selected, it just moves to the next step. Sometimes the organization or you all are doing that for them, and you're selecting one candidate, or you're selecting a short list of candidates and then talking to the nonprofit. So how you want to do the matching is really up to you. you do have several options here, and the system will do this automatically for you based by matching skills and things like that, or you can do it yourself. Once a candidate is selected, hopefully, and the nonprofit is very happy with their selection, and hopefully the volunteer wants to participate, it's really engaging that volunteer to do that, to do the work and work with that organization. And then really from there on is that the length of that engagement, whatever it takes or whatever it was scheduled for, until the project is completed. If it's a very long engagement, we have tools that will, you can get updates on a weekly basis, which will basically send an email out to the volunteer and one to the organization, just seeing how things are going. You can do it on a monthly basis. And then based on the estimated completion date, when that date is arriving, both parties get an email saying, hey, is this project done? Of course, if you're following really closely this engagement, then you'll have that information. You might not need those tools, but because this is happening mostly between the volunteer and the organization, we have ways of trying to capture where the project's at and when it's completed. And then you also get to determine what you want to track in that process. So what you're tracking, so at the end you can report on outcomes and impact. So today, really what we're going to do is just a really quick drive through the SkillsConnect. And so let me get started here. Let me take you to the page where you would land if you have the module. So when you first come in, and if you come to the SkillsConnect module, you would land on this page. As far as branding this, some of our customers offer this as a product, so they brand it with their own logo and things like that. But this is where you would land. So once you come here, and every page, this is a CMS page. So for those who've worked with a CMS, you can edit the title, the text, the logo, and all that. But basically, you can see any projects that you have running under SkillsConnect, or you can start a new project. Because this is the test account I've been using, I actually have a couple of projects here. And you'll see that I have develop board training materials and planning the 2023 budget and cash flow. So as an organization, I'm looking specifically for these skills right now. I'm looking for volunteers with these skills that will help me do this work. If there were volunteers that have already shown interest to be a candidate, and you were using the auto match, then I could see here that I had some pending volunteers to review. I could click on it, see the list, and see, start looking at which one would be a good match, and see if I want to interview them or whatever the next step is. On the public site, it's basically, for those of you who work with HandsOn Connect, it's really nothing more than an opportunity that I would sign up for. And if I try to sign up for this opportunity, because the user I am does not have that skill, it will tell me I can't sign up for it. Of course, it could be that I forgot to tell the system that I have that skill, so I could come to my skills and then update the appropriate skill, which I believe was account. I don't remember what that skill was, but I could say, no, oops, I forgot to say that I'm actually really, really good at accounting. So I'm a real expert here. So once I do that, if that was the skill that was required, it would let me sign up for that project, and I would be put into the pool of candidates waiting to be reviewed by the organization, either the nonprofit or your organization, if you're doing that selection. So let's, why don't we go ahead and create a project. So what I'm doing here, and this is for the benefit of the HandsOn Connect folks on the call, what I'm doing here is really, I have this really lean way of creating an opportunity that's very specific to to the skills that I need. So it's going to run me through 3 steps, and you're going to see that this is going to be relatively fast. And over 60% of this is really all skills. So I'm going to say I'm looking for in the business, and as far as what these, this is the general area, and then we're going to look at the specific skill and the specific project. All these can be defined by your organization. So we provide what you're seeing on the screen, but you can modify these and add your own. So I'm going to say, as an organization, as a nonprofit, I'm looking for help in business, financial, operations. And then I'm going to also look in accounting again. And I need help with taxes. Now, if what I needed was not on this list, I could select other and just type it in. But I'm going to go ahead with the taxes and just keep it simple. And now that I have that, I'm just going to finalize creating this project. So I'm going to give it title, help preparing the name. I'm going to okay, so I'm gonna, I'm just gonna type long description, but apparently I can't spell long. Okay, and now I select the project duration. And once again, this is really the way you set up these projects. These actually are fairly short projects in terms of, we've seen customers that have a ton of hours here, or they have it in terms of weeks and months. I'm going to say this, I think we need about 10, 12 hours. And then really the only date I really set is the project end date. And right now I have it set that I don't want any of these projects to be out more than a year. That's why you'll see it in February 2024. But because this has to do with taxes this year, and I want to really be done by March 10th. And then if I selected an in-person location, which is most likely where the volunteer would meet with me and come to the office, I could put all this information in here, and it would create that location. Once again, I'm going to keep it simple so we can get through more material today. And I'm going to select virtual. So notice that says submit to review. When I submit this, it's going to submit to your organization basically a request to create this opportunity. And so once again, you can edit this page and put links here and anything else you need. So if I come to Salesforce and I can see, I'll refresh this. You'll see that here is my, this is basically the project we just created. This is not a volunteer opportunity yet. It's basically a request. So you'll see that it says need approval. And as far as the statuses, these are the default we provide. If you needed additional, some escalation or something like that, or it has to go through different people, we could add those here. But when it comes in, it basically says there's been a project submitted and it needs approval. So I'm going to come here, look at this, and yeah, I know this instance is set up to require a location even for virtual. That's not, it just happens to be required on this one. It doesn't mean that you need it when we install it for you. And then I'm going to go ahead and approve this. So now that I approved it, and I probably should have pointed this out before I did that, when we first came in here, there was no opportunity here. So there's no volunteer opportunity. So now that I've approved this volunteer opportunity has been created. And if I hover over it, you'll see that the status it's been approved and published, although it's a little bit truncated there. But this opportunity is now available for volunteers to sign up. So if I go back to my instance here, from the volunteer perspective, you can have one page that basically has these opportunities, and we can configure this in different ways. This is just a really simple tile, really basic. But the idea here is that you'd have all your SkillsConnect projects. You could limit them to only people who have X amount of skills or some criteria, so it's not available to all your volunteers. And if I come here, it's presenting it this way, so I can learn more. I can come here, press interest. It's going to tell me, no, I can't. So I'm going to go update my skill. And this time I'm going to remember what the skill was, which was accounting. And I'm going to say I'm an expert here. And I'm going to update it. Okay, so now I should, sometimes it takes a little bit for it to sync, but I'm crossing my fingers that it already synced here. So I'm just gonna come here and sign up for this. And I was able to sign up for it. So now I've been put into a pool of volunteers, and this is where I'm signed up for the opportunity, or I'm in that pool, and then the next step is that selection process. And so, given that I'm trying to show 2 different modules today, and we wanted to do a little bit the shopping cart. I wanted to do half of this. I'm going to stop it here, but I just want to give you a flavor of what SkillsConnect is and what it does. As far as the process we had talked about here, we basically we only made it really through the first 2, because the next stage is to select, complete the project, and all that. I know I walked you verbally through it, so I think hopefully that's enough for the moment. If you are interested to learn more about SkillsConnect, just contact us through support or through sales, and we can talk more about it. The SkillsConnect module is a paid module. It's not one of the free ones. We have both the free and and paid ones, but it is one of the paid modules. So with that, I'm going to basically move on to the next module I wanted to show today. So this module is the shopping cart, and there's the shopping cart is incredibly flexible. It can, because of its name, you can imply that it works as a normal shopping cart. But it also, you can do events like event tickets, order forms, points and awards, which is that little screen on the right. We're not going to cover that today, so that's why I thought I'd throw the screen in there. Is that this is when you basically make swag available to your volunteers, and that they can accumulate points and use that, and it's like frequent flyer points, and it has a little bit of gamification. So the idea here is, you can see that Jenny here is accumulated 431 points on the screen, and there's items like the tumbler is all she needs is 55 pounds, so she has plenty of points to get a tumbler, or to even get the mug. And so the idea here is that you can use all these is the same shopping cart. It's just it has like different configurations. We're going to look really today. We're not going to be looking at much more than the order forms and a little bit of shopping cart, and then there's a second version of the shopping cart, which we call the super simple shopping cart, which is free. It's actually it's part of the form builder, which you all have both in LlamaSite and HandsOn Connect. And we're going to build a really quick, simple shopping cart. And there's a reason it's called super simple, because it is super simple, but it also has its limitation, but it works great for several applications. And if you need to get a cart up and running and you want to charge for it, it's really, really simple to set up. So in shopping carts, there's a couple of things you need to think about. Not that much for the super simple, although it does somewhat apply. But basically, because it's really flexible, how it can be set up, it's good to think up front of really what you're trying to do. But in essence, for every shopping cart, you're going to have a product, or at least one product that can be acquired through the shopping cart. And I say acquired because sometimes it's free, sometimes it's paid, sometimes and so on. Sometimes it's with rewards. So that can be acquired through the catalog. So we have a product catalog that is where your products go. Then you select the pricing and listing model, and we're going to cover a little bit of that when we look at the interface in the back end. And this pretty much means, is this a product that is going to cost something? Is it free, or is it based on rewards or something like that? And so obviously the ones that you pay for is the most common shopping cart. So I'm not going to spend any time describing that. I think we've all bought at least something on Amazon or some other site. But a lot of the free models, it has to do a lot if you're using the module to basically track supplies, for example, or something that you're providing your users, be it your volunteers, and that they need to use for a project, or they need to use and bring back. So the idea is that's when we say pricing model, that's really what we mean, is how is it going to be used. And then the listing model is when you publish these, what is it that you want to show about them? And not only the name and the description and possibly an image or price or something like that, but also what happens if you don't have it in inventory, or you're low in inventory. Do you want to show any messaging saying, hey, there's not a lot left of this? Then in step 3 is basically select the payment method, which I already referred to in step 2, which is this product, is it paid? And if it's paid, are you going to use PayPal, Stripe? Because basically you get to configure whatever payment processor you want. It's not like we have all of them, but we have a couple. Or is it going to be rewards? So there's going to be a system for accumulating points, and that could be volunteer hours, donations, things like that. Or is it simply going to be free, which is really the simplest model because we don't have to run them through a payment processing. And then the other thing you need to think about, if it applies to you, is configure the deliver mechanism. So is it going to be physical? Is it going to be pickup? Is it going to be shipped? Is it going to be some combination of that? And then the last is if you're going to configure inventory management. And this is really if you're tracking items and you're replenishing them, and as things like that. So the shopping cart can be really simple, super simple, like I've said before. It can be simple, or it can manage a lot. And although it adds complexity, it also allows a lot more detail to what you're doing. So what we're going to cover today is a little bit the shopping cart basics, and then we're going to build a super simple shopping cart using your standard form builder. So let me go out of here. Okay, so this is a version of the shopping cart that basically is and you'll see, basically you have your products, you have them in different statuses. And what we mean by that, for example, this first one is out of stock. This one is not, so I can order items here. This one's out of stock, and then if I go here, I'll see like this one is low on inventory. So right now I'm using different features of the shopping cart. I'm telling it if it's out of stock, tell them it's out of stock. I could have configured it that if it's out of stock, don't even list it. But I chose to show them that, yeah, we have that product, but we don't have it right now. And then we have images that it's up to you if you want to include these. And then as far as what you capture when this order is placed is also up to you. Because this specific form is meant to be submitted when you're logged in already. When you're not logged in, we're asking first name, last name, email. But if you were requiring them to log in, we wouldn't even have to ask that. So you could ask if you were, and in this case, it's all pickup. So that's why we're not asking for address or anything like that. There's this is basically the very same, and the only difference here is that we're displaying it slightly different. We're displaying it in tiles, like you can see in this grid. And in this case, there's a combination. There's some products that are paid, and I think all the other ones are free. But the idea here was really just to show you that you could combine paid products with free products if you wanted to do that. And so why don't we go look at how this looks in the back end. So in the back end, I'm going to have two main objects. I'm here using Salesforce lingo. So I'm going to have two main tabs up here. I'm going to have my products, and I'm going to have my shopping carts. And so products is what I need to set up first, because if I don't set it up, I wouldn't have anything to be able to put in the shopping cart for our users to be able to put in the shopping cart. So I have my list of products here. You can see that I have them listed here. I can quickly see some metrics here, and these are basic inventory. So I'm going to open this first one here. And when I'm setting up a product, I'm going to put it in, but sometimes it's easier to see it this way. So obviously I'll give my product the name. If I was using product families, which were not here, so you'll see that we have no product families, but let's say you wanted to group them by different product, we could do that. If you're using SKUs, you can add SKUs, and if you're not, we could just take these off the page layout, so you wouldn't have to see them. And then if you're having products that would have a price, then this is where you would put that price here. And then here's the listing status. So basically this is, remember I told you, like, the listing model that you want to use. So this is telling me what type of product this is and how I'm going to list it. So even though I have a price here, I could still list it for free. So when it's listed as a free product, or I could list it with price, or I could just make it inactive, so it's not listed at all. And then I can also, once again, my listing model here, this is another field that helps control that, is basically, am I going to have this available on the online catalog? Because you could have products that are available, but you're not putting them online. Maybe those are only for people who call in or something like that. And so here I'm saying, yes, display it, but only if items are in hand. So if there were nothing in inventory here, then it wouldn't display it at all in the catalog. Or I could just say yes, and that would display it regardless. Still, and even though I have nothing in inventory. Or I could say no. And then I could also set a max per order. So maybe I only want to limit this to 2. I don't have a lot, and I want to make sure that there's enough for all my projects, or so popular that's going to be 1 per customer or 1 per order. And then I can give it a description. It can be a description of the product. It can be a description of this one. We kept it really simple. There's 24 bags per box. And then here's my inventory. So, and we're going to talk about how this was populated. So I have 70 items on hand. So I have 70 boxes of the burlap bags. And last time 75 were replenished and 5 have been consumed already, which means someone ordered them. And then down here, I can control some of the messaging for this product. So I can say, if I'm out of stock, which would apply if this is yes here. It's out of stock. I wanted to say this. Sorry, we're out of stock, but you could put something else. Sorry, we're out of stock, but contact us in a week, and we have a new shipment coming in next week or something like that. And also you can set a low inventory message. When the supplies are getting low, or my items are getting low, I can say, hurry, we have low inventory. And then you set the threshold for that. Well, how do I know we're low inventory? Well, when I have less than 10 items left in inventory, then start showing this message. You can still order, but I'll be showing this message that there's low inventory. So if I go to my related list here, I can see basically the transactions. So there's going to be some transactions that are consumed and some are replenished. So consumed means someone order it. Replenished means that you add it to the inventory. So I can see that I added 50 here. So I must have purchased 50 and they arrived in the office, and now I have 50. And then a little bit later, I ordered 25. I got 25, so I have a total of 75. And then there was one order that ordered 5. And that's basically how the summary that I have here of how that came about. Now, if I go over here to my shopping cart, I can see the different orders that have come in. So there's a couple of things you can do, and the shopping cart itself is quite simple. I mean, it would gather information of, you know, who placed the order, the status of that order, what's the total, especially if all these products are free, so there's really no cart total. And it will capture additional information, you know, if there was a shipping address, comments, if you did that, if you added that. And if there was payment, then it would track, it would say the payment was completed, and it will give you a payment transaction and things like that. So it will gather a lot of information of the transaction, the payment. But you can also tie it to, let's say that you had an opportunity, a volunteer opportunity, where as volunteers signed up, you wanted to make t-shirts available to them. You could just go ahead and use the advanced registration module, which is another module, which we haven't even mentioned. But you could use that to basically ask for your t-shirt size. And then when the volunteer arrives, you just make sure you have enough t-shirts of each of the sizes. But you could also have them purchase it before, if you wanted to sell them the t-shirts, you can have them purchase it before they go. So you could add a shopping cart, and then what the shopping cart would do is it would tie it here to that connection. For those of you in HandsOn Connect, I'm using HandsOn Connect lingo right now, or to an opportunity, so that this is related to the opportunity. So you can see that this one here is related to an opportunity. So I can see it down here. And in this case, really the use case is that the volunteer coordinator, once they create the opportunity, knowing that they're going to be, you know, out doing something specific and they're going to need certain supplies for that. It might just be as simple as they need work gloves for all the volunteers. That once they know how many volunteers are going to come, they could place an order related to that opportunity for the number of work gloves. And if you charge for them or not, it's really up to you. And then once again, the way you present this is, I mean, this will, as you've probably seen a lot of our demos, and if you compare it to your site, this, whatever we do pretty much will somewhat adapt to the look and feel of your site and how you want to do that. Okay, so that's how much I wanted to cover on the shopping cart. Once again, it's a very flexible module. You can do traditional shopping cart like you would do, you know, Amazon-like. And then you can use it also for rewards and points. You can do that. You can use it just for managing supplies. And there's a whole, you know, once again, it just really comes down to what your use case or use cases. You can have, in your same instance, you can have different types of shopping cart. You don't have to select one when you install the module. Okay, and then the next thing we're going to do is, because this is available to you and it's already in your form builder and it's free, we do have a super simple shopping cart that you can build a really, if you wanted to, for example, sell some baseball caps or something like that to your volunteers or to your users, you could set one up pretty quickly. So we're going to go ahead and do that, just so you know that this is available. And so now we're going to basically, this is going to be more like the dashboard series. We're actually going to build something with the CMS tools. So I already set up my page here called Simple Shopping Cart version 2, but there's nothing there. So we need to add the items we'll be building out here. sorry, the items we're going to sell. So I'm gonna basically sell two types of hat. I'm thinking volunteers might want a baseball cap or a sun hat, and if they don't have any, they could purchase one. So first thing I'm going to do is, because I need to do this in my CMS, I'm going to make sure I'm in with my CMS, with a CMS user. And what I'm going to do here is add a form. So I'm going to call this demo simple. Okay, and then I'm going to do everything you're probably, if you work a lot with the CMS, that you usually do when you're setting up basically any block in the CMS. So I'm going to tell it in what region. Like most blocks, they're going to be in the main content regions. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I actually set the page for this. So I'm going to say this is going to show up on the page that I'm on right now. Okay, and I'm going to not show the title. So I could add our fields here. I can add first name, last name, and things like that. For the moment, I'm going to assume that the person is logged in. So I capture all that, but also giving time so we can get it done in the next 15 minutes or so. And by the way, this is probably going to take 5 minutes. But if I get talking, it could take longer. But all I'm going to do really is add a payment component here. So if I look at the column here on the left, I can see that I have fields that I could add. Like I said, I could add first name, last name, email, and things like that. But really, I'm going to add this payment component here. Is the one thing I'm going to do. And once the payment component is here, I can select what payment processor I'm going to use. When you're first setting this up, you don't have to do anything. You can test it using our sandbox for PayPal. But once you're ready to go live with this, you definitely want to put your PayPal there, and you want to put it in production to make sure that when someone buys something and gives their credit card, you actually get the money for it. And so so I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to skip some of this. I am going to switch my label from donate to pay, because this module can be used for donations and payments, so that donate would look a little bit odd. And I'm going to, I'll leave this just so you see it for the moment. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do sell two items here. I'm going to do a baseball cap, one size fits all, and I'm going to sell that for $12. And I'm going to add that. And then I'm going to add a sun hat. And I'm going to sell that for $20. Okay, so now that I have those, I basically have what I need here. I have my two products. They were added as items here, and we'll talk about this in a little bit. I'm going to save this, and just because I'm curious, I'm going to just save this and see what it looks like. So like I said, I pretty much it looks like I have what I need, but there are a couple things here. One is that I can only select one at a time. So what if I wanted to buy one of each? So I would have to make this so that I can select them both. So there's an easy way to do that. You come back to your payment component, and you here allows select multiple. Okay, so I'm going to save that, save the form. And now I can select them both if I want. And you'll see that now it totals as I select them. So now I can select more than one. But I also would like to be able to add and remove. What if I can do it this way, but I like it to look a little bit more like a shopping cart, like more of a list. So I'm going to come here to my and I'm going to tell it to, I'm going to do two things. One, I'm going to tell it to add and remove buttons, and I'm going to display it vertically. So right now it's doing horizontally. It's putting each product next to each other. And so I'm going to display it vertically, and I'm going to save that. And now this, although the previous version did exactly the same thing, this is a little bit more user-friendly because I have buttons that give me an explicit action. So I can add, and you see that, or I can remove, add, remove. And now I pretty much have my my shopping cart ready to go. There are a couple of other things that I could do here. So right now I don't have it syncing to a Salesforce item, and I could leave it that way. It would work perfectly fine this way. I would have to come to my payment once I want to make this live. I would have to, like I said earlier, tie it to my or my organization's PayPal account. If I'm going to use PayPal, if not, I can use Stripe or Authorize.net. And then there's a couple of other things I could do, and you'll see that there's different things I can toggle on and off here. So sometimes folks don't like the big PayPal logo, so you can hide that by toggling this on. I'll save it. I have to save the field. And so now it's just a little bit cleaner. It doesn't have that big thing. Now this message here that says PayPal integration currently in test mode, that will stay, it will disappear once you move it to production. This is just to let you know that you can actually run a test payment doing this. There's some test payment credit cards that PayPal, for example, provides, so you can test the whole process. And then the last thing I was going to say quickly here is that when the payment goes through the payment processor, that being Stripe, Authorize.net, or PayPal, they send back to us information about that transaction. And so if I was tying this to Salesforce, I could map information to different fields. So basically, the payment processor will send us back the label of the transaction, the amount that the transaction was, the transaction ID, which is incredibly useful, because if you ever have to talk to them or to a customer about a transaction, the transaction ID is what PayPal or Stripe or Authorize.net tracks as a transaction. So I can say, Matt, well, I would have to select an object, of course. I'm going to select the shopping cart one here. And then I can tie it. Notice that in my shopping cart, I already created those fields. So that way, when this order is submitted, not only does it show up as a shopping cart item, but it also gives me back the information of that transaction, so that if I ever need the transaction ID or the status for whatever, because the transaction could come back as denied or something like that. So if you want to know on the Salesforce side if the transaction was denied or if there was some other problem with it, then you could just map it to a field, and that way you could view it on that side. And with that, I know we have a couple minutes left. That's really my last part. I will just leave it on this slide, talking a little bit what we're going to be doing next in the dashboard series. We're going to be talking a couple of add-on modules. Probably the next one is going to be awards and badges, and groups and chats, which will probably include board management. So that will probably be the next one on this series and on the dashboard series, CMS and tricks. We also have a Salesforce Ed series, and there's been a couple of these. And so on our YouTube channel, on the HandsOn Connect YouTube channel, and I believe also on the LlamaSite, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure on the HandsOn Connect, you'll see the series for the nonprofit success pack. There's those happen, and I'm pretty sure that we'll have more of those in the future. So with that, I'll just stop, and we're here to take any questions.